Hey, She Ace That listeners, find us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Every subscribe, like, and follow goes a long way, and I can't thank you all enough for your support. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Hey, everybody, welcome back to She Ace That. It's your host, Alexandra, and I am so glad you're here. Today's guest, I'm really excited about. She is somebody from where I live, and I'm really excited to share her story on what she's doing for athletes. So before we get into that, I want to acknowledge that we're in the thick of the holiday season. And while it's supposed to be this magical, joyful time for a lot of people, which it always was for me, but it's also really stressful. And especially when you become an adult, like your childhood nostalgia is still there. You picture the holidays as something from what you remember it as versus maybe what it looks like for you now. And obviously, as life changes, time goes on, it's sometimes hard to navigate them as each year comes around. I know for me, there is a beauty in it. Like I have a son, so I'm really excited to have him wake up to Santa coming on Christmas, which brings some of that joy back. But then there's always family dynamics. There's always life changes that I feel like the holidays remind you of between shopping for gifts, managing family dynamics, travel plans, and trying to keep up with work or school. It can just be a lot. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now, you're not alone. And I think sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to make everything perfect during the holidays that we forget what it's really about, connecting with the people we care about and love. So here's my reminder to you. It's okay if everything isn't picture perfect. No family is perfect. It's okay to set boundaries during this time of year. It's okay to say no to things that drain you. And it's okay to prioritize your mental health, even during the most wonderful time of the year. Take care of yourself. And just remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. My goal this year is to just enjoy time with my immediate family and my son. And that brings me the most happiness. Maybe connect with some friends who I haven't been able to see in a while and really just try to bring that sense of love, and just surrounding myself with people that I love and care about during a time that's normally so busy. But if you have time off work, take advantage of it. If you're between sports seasons, take advantage of it and use this time to reset, which we talked about a few episodes ago. So definitely look back at that off season pod episode. All right, now I want to talk about volleyball because there's so much happening right now. First up, Nebraska volleyball. The Huskers are heading into the NCAA tournament as the number one overall seed with a perfect 30 record. They're undefeated heading into the NCAA tournament that's ongoing. This is only the third time in program history they've finished a regular season unbeaten and the first time since the year 2000. So I think it says a lot about their program. It says a lot about the girls and the coaching ongoing there. And it is a program that I feel like everybody is watching eyes wide open and rooting for. Of course, everybody wants them to win the national championship in this bracket. And I do too, even though obviously I would have loved Michigan State to be a part of it. And I think it's just something that is incredible to see and so easy to root for. Their stats are absolutely insane. They're leading the nation with a .350 hitting percentage. And Setter Bergen-Riley, who's the AVCA Player of the Year semifinalist, is orchestrating one of the most dominant offenses we've seen in college volleyball. The Huskers have only dropped 7 sets all season, 7 out of 97 played. That is a over 90% win rate. And I think what's super interesting about this too is you can have a stacked team skill wise, and that doesn't mean they're going to win. Like the mental game is so important. And I know this has been talked about in the past couple episodes of She Aced That, but you have to be holding yourself to a standard to continue winning on the streak like they have. It doesn't just come handed to you. There's a lot of physical work that goes into it as well. And obviously skill's huge, but I have seen huge teams be taken down by smaller teams who had just incredible team chemistry, communication, the mental toughness. And I think it's so amazing to see Nebraska's program just be thriving. Like, yes, from a skill perspective, but also because of their team dynamic that is so important and so critical to be an elite team. The NCAA tournament bracket was just announced Sunday night, and Nebraska earned that top overall seed alongside Kentucky, Texas, and Pittsburgh. The tournament kicks off this Thursday, which this will come out a couple days before. and with first and second rounds at 16 host sites, which is really cool. Like, this type of tournament is incredible. Elite players supporting their college programs that so many people are passionate about. Nebraska will host at the Devaney Center opening Friday night alongside Long Island University. If they keep winning, the Final Four is set for December 18th and 21st at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. This is Nebraska's 44th straight NCAA tournament appearance, and they'll be hosting for the 40th time. The Huskers have a 60-match home winning streak right now, the third longest in program history. Penn State, the defending national champions, got an 8 seed this year after an 18-12 season, so the path is wide open. I cannot wait to see how this tournament plays out. And if you haven't made your bracket for fun yet, or as a part of a league, I highly recommend to do it. Now let's talk pro volleyball. Major League Volleyball just held their 2025 draft on November 24th, and some huge names got picked up. In some quick context here, the league is the result of a merger between Pro Volleyball Federation and Major League Volleyball, adopting the MLV branding and entering its third season in January 2026. The draft consisted of 4 rounds with 32 total selections across 8 MLV teams. The 2026 MLV season kicks off January 8th with San Diego at Omaha and Columbus at Atlanta. Grand Rapids travels to Orlando on January 9th for the Valkyries home opener. This league is really growing. They're offering salaries ranging from like $60,000 to almost $200,000 plus benefits. Speaking of professional volleyball, we just wrapped up the 2025 Athletes Unlimited Professional Volleyball Championship, and it was absolutely incredible. We've had a few people join the podcast and explain it, but for those of you that might not be as familiar, Athletes Unlimited is a really unique professional league where 44 of the world's best players compete over 4 weeks to crown an individual champion, which is so different than the normal team dynamic. Like, if one of you loses, you're all losing together. If one of you wins, you're all winning together. But this is different. And here's what makes it different. Teams change every week. The top 4 athletes in the standings become captains and draft their own teams. Athletes earn points based on team performance and individual stats. So the leaderboard is constantly changing. It's high stakes, intense, super competitive, and super fun to watch. This year's championship was split between 2 major volleyball areas, Omaha, Nebraska, and Madison, Wisconsin, and the winner was 2-time Olympic medalist Jordan Thompson. And the field was absolutely stacked with Olympians, national team members, and stars from leagues all over the world. If you haven't checked out Athletes Unlimited yet, you should. It's a really cool format that puts the athletes first. They even have equity in the league and help create the rules, which is just incredible for professional volleyball, especially in the US. And congratulations to all the class of 2025 recruits who signed this year. Let's get into today's episode. I am so excited about this conversation because it's with somebody who truly embodies what this podcast is all about: resilience, community, and creating opportunities for athletes to thrive. If you're from Michigan, you may know her already and probably should. It really hits close to home for me, and her story just gives me chills. Today's guest is Lindsay Rowe, an entrepreneur, mother of 7, and the founder of Ace Factory right here in Howell, Michigan. If you're not familiar with Ace Factory, it's an indoor athletic training facility that just opened in July at the former Tanger outlets, now the Kensington Valley outlets. Lindsay created this space because there just wasn't enough indoor space for athletes to train, and families like hers were driving all over the place to Clio, Waterford, you name it, 7 days a week just to get her kids the training they needed. But Lindsay's story goes so much deeper than just opening a gym, along with her husband, AJ, who's a Marine Corps veteran. Lindsay and her husband started Rustic Marine, which was a woodworking and home goods business that supports veteran-owned companies. And if that wasn't enough, Lindsay and her family have been through something that would truly break most people. In March of 2023, their dream home, a 1906 farmhouse, was destroyed by a house fire in the middle of the night. Lindsay, AJ, and their kids had to jump from second-story windows to escape. Many of their children were hospitalized with injuries, smoke inhalation, and burns. But here's what gets me. Instead of letting that tragedy define them, the Rowe family rebuilt. They lived in a single-wide mobile home trailer on their property for over 300 days while they constructed a new house on the same land. And during that time, Lindsay was still showing up for her community, still dreaming about Ace Factory, and still moving forward. In our conversation today, we talk about all of it. Lindsay's mission is simple but powerful. Create a space where athletes feel supported, where families don't have to choose between financial stability and their kids' dreams, and where community comes first. This conversation is inspiring. It's a reminder that resilience isn't about bouncing back to who you were before. It's about using what you've been through to build something even better. So let's get into it. Lindsay, for our listeners who might not know you yet, can you please just do a little introduction of yourself and tell us about what makes Lindsay Lindsay?
Yeah. So, hello, I'm Lindsay Rowe. I am a mother of seven, former athlete, and now I own an indoor athletic facility. So, I've watched some of your old podcasts and I see a lot of current athletes. So, I am coming from a slightly different lens, but I am local here to Livingston County. We've been business owners here for quite a while, but we recently started a new venture opening Ace Factory.
Consist.
My husband and I both grew up in Novi. We moved out here when my oldest kids were, I think, in first grade, maybe kindergarten. But we were growing our family rather quickly, and I was a stay-at-home mom. And he worked, but it just got to a point where we were scraping by every week. And so we ended up starting what was really just like a side hustle. The other part was we bought a home and I enjoyed decorating, but I didn't have, my grandpa used to always say I had a champagne taste on a beer budget, right? So I loved all the things at Pottery Barn, but couldn't necessarily afford it. So I just started having AJ figure out how to make these things. And it just kind of took off on social media. So our little side hustle really became a business, and he was able to quit his job and we were able to do this full time. And then it's like I said, it started as woodworking. We were making like floating shelves and fireplace mantles and home decor. But our goal, once we started growing and we were just hustling every day, we would work all day, have dinner, put the kids to bed, and get back out in the garage and work all night. And our goal was really to, my husband wanted some more space. He wanted land. Within just a couple of years, we were able to hustle enough and save enough to kind of realize that dream. So we didn't move far, just a few miles away, but we were able to get the house that we dreamed of. It was a beautiful, big old white farmhouse with the wraparound porch, built in 1906. It was like, the dream. And we were able to continue our business there and expand it. Now that we had the barns and the property, we went from just woodworking to hosting events and workshops, and then we were able to build a little storefront here on the property where we could then have products from, I guess I missed, my husband's a veteran. So we were able to support other local veterans and their small businesses. And it really just kind of grew into something we didn't really expect.
It's really cool to see how a side hustle or something that you're hoping to become a business actually does. And it like hits that turning point. Says a lot about your guys' work ethic, but also the background of it too, supporting other veterans and just making sure that there is that giving back mentality as well. I think even sets you guys apart more too, and just says a lot about you and your husband. Was it hard him coming back from being in the military, and was there things that you guys had to work through in that realm too?
Yeah, that was one of the reasons we started a business actually. When he joined the Marine Corps, he was kind of like living the American dream, like the all American stud. He was a baseball player drafted right out of high school to play in the MLB. He went to Milwaukee and then 9/11 happened shortly after. So we joined the Marine Corps. So he went as this 18, 19-year-old guy that was like living the dream. And he went at, a really scary time, did 2 tours in Iraq and then came home. And to me, it was always interesting because you serve your country and you come home and all of your friends, your peers have graduated college, they're starting job, their careers, maybe getting married, and you're kind of like 4 years behind. And so he certainly had like a little PTSD, which made working in normal environments a little bit more difficult. And he kind of, he just had a hard time kind of finding his place in civilian life. So being able to work from home by himself was actually ideal for him. So starting Rustic Marine was for a couple of reasons. One, we needed to pay our bills. Two, it gave him a really great environment to work in. And then I started seeing how many other veterans were starting small businesses. And luckily for us, our social media did really well and we were able to grow, but it's not easy to grow social media. And I always said if just one bigger person would share our page, like that would, you hear about these people on TikTok and they wake up to a viral video and that's it. Their business is booming. We never really had that. We had to hustle ourselves. And so I always operate under the thought that there is enough sunshine for everyone. If I, I didn't have that help So I wanted to be that help for other people. So we were able to use our social media not only to grow our own business, but really help to grow other businesses as well.
For anybody, whether they have a spouse who's coming home from the military or maybe was in the military themselves, so like, is there any key advice you have or resources that can help them with that transition coming back home? Yeah,
It really took him probably a good decade to find resources, but there are a ton of resources out there. I think for a lot, I don't know if it's Marine specific, but I think it's hard to ask for help, And so, but there are a ton of great nonprofits, even here in just Livingston County, that are there to help our veterans. So, and I'm always happy to pass those along. So, if anyone's struggling with, jobs or mental health or anything, I'm certainly not a counselor, but I can happily pass along resources.
connections are everything. If people understand similar circumstances, I think that's a great way to allow others to open up. So I really just appreciate you sharing your story on that. And thank you to your husband and for you and all of the sacrifices associated with it, especially in the area we live. I feel like it is very veteran
I do too.
oriented, which is
Yeah, I
amazing.
do too.
Yeah. And I think that's really good to have that actual physical in person community and being able to make those real time connections as
I
well.
agree. Yeah, I just didn't notice growing up in Nova. I think it's a night and day difference in how many resources are here in Livingston County compared to, where I grew up. But and I, we there's a lot out here. So I feel like no veteran should struggle here, especially there are resources out there for them for sure.
Yeah, thank you for all you guys do. You've got Rustic Marine going, you have 7 kids, and then you launched Ace Factory. So, what made you think, "I want to start an athletic training facility"?
Well, it actually was probably a lot to do. So like I said, we found the dream house. We moved to the farm. We had baby number 6, I think like a week after moving in, and life was really great. Our business was thriving. Our family was happy. Like just, I mean, we were just living our dream, really. And then one night we tucked our kids into bed and we went to sleep and we woke up to our house completely on fire. So that is again a whole nother story, but we found ourselves, well, it was really as dramatic as a fire could be. It was 3 in the morning. We were jumping out of second story windows. We lost everything, every belonging. We lost our home. We lost our dogs. I mean, everything we had worked towards till that point was just gone in an instant. So I have kids in the ICU. Everybody's hospitalized. And it was crazy. It was crazy. It was the worst day of our lives. But what happened afterwards was pretty amazing. We had just the community absolutely rally around us. For the next year, we rebuilt. Like I said, our house was a total loss. We had to rebuild from the ground up. And in the meantime, we actually, the first couple of months, a stranger gave us his home, and that stranger has become a great friend. But for the bulk of it, we put a single wide mobile home on the back of our farm. And it was 6 kids at the time. So 8 of us living in pretty tight quarters. And it was okay during like the summer and fall. But once winter hit, we started getting a little stir crazy. At the same time, power was cut to our whole property. So we had no power in the barn. We couldn't work. All of our woodworking was put on hold. So that did 2 things. That made me really focus on social media. And through content creation, I was able to replace our woodworking income on social media. So that was good. But the other thing was we were just going crazy in this small space. And I would take the kids just needed to run around, right? They just needed to burn off energy that it was tight. So we honestly would just go up to the high school, the middle school, see if we could find an unlocked door and just run around the halls and take a soccer ball and we just needed space to move in the winter. And I realized that we really kind of lack that in the area. At the same time, my older kids were they're all in travel sports, and I was driving around 7 days a week to Clio to Waterford just so they could practice indoors. So that whole time frame made me realize that we do lack indoor space for our athletes. And there's a couple of big names around here, but they're so booked that it's not, you can't just go, get space when you need it. So I was hoping that somebody else would open something. And in the decade I've been here, nothing really has opened up. So I is kind of an entrepreneurial spirit and decided if no one else is going to do it, I guess I have to.
I appreciate you sharing that. And before digging into Ace Factory more, like I just want to appreciate you sharing your fire story. And I think it's amazing how you guys have continued to grow after that. It's like the most devastating thing in the world that most people can't relate to, and nobody should go through in a lifetime. And I don't even know if I realized when that time happened, if I knew about it, but I did look back and it was like amazing to see how the community did, wrap their arms around you guys. And that doesn't change the losses and losing your whole life pretty much and your kids being in the hospital. And as a parent myself, it's unimaginable to go through that. So I just really give you a lot of credit for your strength. Not that, it was always there, but like where you are now is amazing. And I'm just grateful for the community to have that backing for you guys because you really deserved it. And nobody should have to go through that. As a parent, how did you even begin to process, I guess, what happened back then? Like,
We literally were jumping out of windows at 3 a.m. We're in the hospital and we knew everything was lost. And since then I'm actually a part of like some fire survivor groups and stuff. And I can see that people handle this very differently. There are some people who, like years later, still struggle daily. And there are some people that handle it well. And there's probably a few reasons, but I think one of the reasons that I think that we handled it well actually probably is because of my background as an athlete as well as my husband's. I think that sports is not just sports to me. It's not winning and losing. It's not even the game. It's shaped me as a person as it did my husband. And we're both competitive and I just think it changed the way I view things. And so when we have a problem, and we often have problems, it seems like whenever we do anything, we always it's always the hard, nothing just comes easy. But when we have a problem, we don't see the problem. We just look for the solution. That's like one of our mottos: no problems, only solutions. So immediately, I don't think we spent a moment really feeling sorry for ourselves. It was like, okay, what do we do?
mhm,
What do we do next? What's step one? And we just got right to work and we kind of assembled this. We didn't even assemble it. It just fell into our laps. We had the best builder, the best architect, all of the things that we needed started showing up for us. And we just immediately got to work on rebuilding and didn't even have time or the desire to sit around and we could have be sad
yeah.
about it, or we could rebuild. And so that's what we did.
What do you think your kids learned watching, you guys lose everything and just taking that action and rebuilding right away and moving forward?
One of the things I can tell you my kids learned is that it was almost like Christmas every day for like a month. People were showing up with toys and clothes and food. And I remember at one point, one of my daughter, like they were really just in awe. And I remember saying to them, for the 7 years before that, I spent my career life trying my best to give back to others, to give back to the community, to give back to other veteran owned businesses. And I really wanted to kind of, like fires happen every day and not everybody gets the response that we got. We were super lucky to have the community rally around us like we did. And I think part of that is because we started to be known as, we made a little bit of a reputation for ourselves of helping others. And so when you do good things out in the world, good things will come back to you. So that was one kind of message I wanted to drive home to them. They learned a lot about gratefulness. One lesson I learned, which was a little bit difficult, was receiving help. I'm normally the helper, and when I don't ask for help, and it was actually not easy to receive help. And I just had to learn to say thank you instead of no, it's okay.
Yeah.
Receiving help is a skill that's kind of difficult to learn sometimes. And kids are just so resilient. They had nightmares, I would say the first month or two. But time heals and they were so resilient and they did so well. Now it's like even just a few months after, they would say, remember it was that before the fire or after the fire is just like a mark in time now, before fire and after fire is how we like look at our lives, right? And it's just a thing that happened and that we recovered from, and that with as long as we have each other, which thank God we did, we all survived, and nothing is more important than each other. So yes, we lost everything, but things really became. And I wouldn't say I was a hoarder, but I kept my clothes from high school thinking they'd come back in style, and I had things that I liked, but things really became things, and they're all replaceable. So, we learned a lot of lessons through the fire, a lot. I could go on and on, but yeah, it was interesting to.
It's like, okay, at the end of the day, like you said, as long as we all have each other, that's truly the core of everything. We can buy the stuff back. They probably are so forever grateful to have you guys as role models and parents. So I give a lot of credit back to you.
We recovered well, and yeah, and then so, I mean, back to Ace Factory, I guess that was a rough winter. We were so grateful to have each other, right? And then a few months later, we're like, there's one little bathroom for 8 of us. It was like a line at a concert, right? Every morning for my kids to use I mean, it was tight quarters. And so it was a little too tight. But so I just thought, I wish there was like just a place we could go and just run around that we don't. And there are some places, but with 6 kids,
Yeah.
it gets expensive, right? I mean, we can only go to the trampoline park so many times at $100
Yeah.
a pop. So I was driving one day, and again, driving to a practice. My kids all play for like Heartland Sports, but they don't practice in Heartland in the winter. They practice in Waterford or wherever. That takes 3 hours of my time, because by the time I drive them there, there's no time to go home. I'm sitting in my car in parking lots and just got crazy. So I was driving on the expressway one day, and I called a good friend who I knew through softball, one of the best softball coaches in our area, the best softball coach in our area. And I called her and I said, "Hey, I think I want to open a place, but I'll only do it if you join me." She said, "I'm in." So I'm like, "Okay." And the next day I started looking for spaces.
It's amazing. I know. And I feel like I agree because, well, first, I give you so much credit with 7 kids, driving them around and all of their different activities and time. So I can't even imagine. I think it's amazing that you took that upon yourself. I think it's amazing that you created a space, though, for all ages of athletes to be able to have that indoor training that's necessary. Can you give us maybe a few examples of what training you guys do hold for people?
So I used to go to Planet Fitness in high school. It's great and it's cheap and it's nice, but here's the thing. I have 2 15-year-olds. If I were to drop them off at Planet Fitness, they don't know what to do. You know what I mean? They would probably be walking around on their phones. Who knows?
Yeah.
Um, we have when you walk into Ace Factory, the left side is all turf and the right side is all gym. It's not your typical Planet Fitness. There's no treadmills. It is a strength and conditioning gym, and we have the best strength and conditioning director. His name is Tanner. He's also a Marine. After the Marine Corps, he became a personal trainer and then became a strength and conditioning coach. He ran some YMCA's there, and he's so knowledgeable. He was also a collegiate baseball player, and he's just so passionate about youth athletes. So we have Tanner there that runs all of our strength and conditioning, and we're definitely focused on athletes, but we have a lot of time during the day when most athletes are at school. So we've opened up our daytime hours we have what we call the Strong Moms Club, which is really just taking off. And it's an awesome group of women that really work out hard every single day. We have now PE classes and weightlifting classes for homeschool kids. My thought is, I built this space, and I never, if we're not using it, we might as well open it up. So anytime that we don't have lessons going on, we have open gyms. We had a Halloween party, we'll have a Christmas party. I want this space to serve as a place where our kids, our athletes, our teenagers can go after school and hang out. They can work out, they can hang out. Our kids need somewhere positive to go where they can be surrounded by like-minded individuals as well as really positive mentors, and just have a place that they can go. Like I said, Tanner runs our strength and conditioning side. And then over on the turf side, we actually have 3 really amazing trainers. We have Danielle Pizzo, who's our director of softball, and she has an incredible history of coaching. She does private lessons. We run off a membership model, which is designed to make private training more affordable. So we have Danielle that runs softball lessons. We have Ryan, who is a former college baseball player, also a major league wiffle ball player. And then we have what we call football Ryan, Ryan Van Dyke. He's a former MSU quarterback and pro football player that runs a football academy there.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. You have a consistent theme through just everything you've gone through and everything you're creating is that sense of community. And that's what you're building with Ace Factory. You're like, I want my kids to be able to come here. I want their friends and teammates to be able to come here. I want to help others who maybe can't afford the normal private lesson prices out there and just have that sense of belonging. And I think that's absolutely incredible. And you probably have already impacted so many athletes in such a positive way by creating that space for them. But it's also even what the future can hold with it to can just create that dynamic of togetherness. Where do you see Ace Factory going in 5 years?
Like a 2-year vision. And so we just opened in July and already we are busting at the seams. So our 2-year vision has been sped up and I'm already looking for our phase 2 option. We need more space. And so hopefully that will be sooner than later. But yeah, I mean, to me, community is everything, not just as a business owner, but even as just a mom. You know, they say it takes a village, and I notice it's often hard to find your village. So um, I don't know, I'm always of the mindset that if there's something I just operate a little my husband will just roll his eyes because sometimes I think, if someone tells you no, you're just asking the wrong person. If you need something that doesn't exist, just create it. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. Might is make this is we get one life here and we might as well make it exactly how we want it. So I am all about community and another thing is affordability. I mean, I have kids that have been taking I've got 2 daughters in softball, one in volleyball, all club travel or club teams that also have to take that also want private lessons. And I mean, I could have a second home with the amount I spend in sports, right? And now 2 more have joined the sports world, like my young middle 2 and still have more along the line. So I figure I'm in sports here in Livingston County for the next 18 years, right? And so and I never and we're in a really I think Livingston County is interesting because we have areas that are pretty affluent, and then we have areas that are much more rural. And I told my trainers from day one, of course, that they deserve to be compensated fairly, but I also want to make sure that money is never the reason a child can't get access to training. If there is if there is somebody that wants to come put in the work, that wants to show up, that wants to get better, and they can't afford it, we will make sure that they get what they need. I found recently found out one of Danielle's members picked up a third job. She's in high school, picked up a third job to pay for her own membership. So I immediately called her and helped her out. There's so many kids that the parents call, the parents sign them up. The kid might not even want to be there. So for the kids that do want to be there and the kids that do want to work, we will make sure that they can put in the work.
It is insane how expensive sports are nowadays. Most kids do want to be a part of a team or part of something. It might not be the highest level team that they would dream of or the lowest, but it's more about just being a part of something and having that team chemistry and dynamic and working towards something. And it's also a breath of fresh air when you can compartmentalize everything that's going on in your outside world, off the court or out of the gym, and tune into that and really work hard and focus on the positive of sports. And like you said, how impactful sports were to you from a resilience and adversity standpoint and that background. And it kills me when I know of athletes that aren't able to play a club sport or can't pay to play in high school or grade school in general. And that's one of my goals with this too, is I would love to long term have a way to help kids with pay to play because I just see that so frequently. Especially I was coaching a varsity volleyball team a few years ago, and just seeing the dynamics of different situations is very eye-opening. I never would have wanted to tell a girl she can't play because of money. They still deserve to be a part of that program regardless.
Especially today. I mean, it's tough. Life is expensive
Mhm.
today. And as a parent, I get that. It is really tough. And sports are different. I feel like I graduated high school in 2004. I did play like travel ball. It I mean, it's like you almost have to have a hitting coach these days. Everybody does, right? If you don't, you're behind. And back then, it wasn't a thing. It wasn't a thing, and we didn't pay to play sports in high school. It's just so different now, which is a whole nother topic. The whole business of sports is another topic, but I don't necessarily agree with. That I'm also a part of, but I'm trying to be a part of it in a positive way. One, actually, I haven't even announced this yet, but we have coaches coming to us every single day that they want to be able to do more for their kids. They want to do more for their teams. They want to, they would love to have strength and conditioning in the off season or be able to do whatever it is. But their budget is tight and they don't want to ask their parents for more money. And I totally get that. So we actually and I haven't even officially announced this yet, but we just recently partnered with Fundraising University. It's actually a company that was started by a family member 15 years ago, and I've watched him build this into something amazing. They've raised 200 to 300 million dollars for schools and teams over the last decade and have really
Wow.
transformed some of these schools. And so I've watched him build this. And now that we have Ace Factory, we have coaches coming to us with financial concerns. I thought, what if we can not only help them, like give them space to practice, give their kids trainers to train with, but what if we could also help them raise funds that they need for the season? So I called my daughter's coach and I said, hey, thinking about partnering with this company, but I can't recommend anything to our community without going through without knowing 100%. So they were my guinea pig and we just wrapped up a fundraiser for them last week. It took about 2 hours of their time. Their goal was to raise 20 and they walked away with, I think it ended at 7,100 in 2 hours. So
Wow.
it's a really great company. The process is streamlined. And so we're going to officially partner with them so that if there are teams that want to train with us or want to do anything, I know there's a ton of teams in the area wanting to go to Cooperstown this year. So we want to help be able to take fundraising and financial stress off of coaches, off of parents. And now we can help them with that too. Like, this is going to be ever evolving. And I know that I know I have the best trainers where our facility is only growing. And now hopefully we can help bring the affordability of sports back down to something that's obtainable for most families.
That's amazing. I love that so much. And anything I can share as that comes along, any fundraising you guys do, keep me updated with anything. And here you are, Lindsay, still helping people. And I think it's just amazing
You,
all that you
that's
do.
what
And I can't thank you enough for all you do for this community and everybody.
I mean, that's the whole point, right? Is to be
Yeah.
a good neighbor and be a good friend. That's my goal here at least. So
Yeah. I'm the same way. I'd rather give somebody the shirt off my back than keep it, and I think we need that. We need that often and we need to hold on to the people that are like that in this world. And there's a lot of good people out there that want to support things
there
like
are
this. It's just finding the right ones.
And that's one thing the fire did is really show me how many truly good people are still out there. You watch the news or just even scrolling Facebook, it's so negative all the time. There are truly more good people out there than bad, and sometimes it takes like I think our fire probably brought a lot of people together and brought our community together in some ways, and we just need to continue. We do live in a really awesome community, and so I'm here to help do whatever I can. I want to give to this community. I feel like I forever owe this community, and I know I don't owe them, but they gave so much to us. They gave us light during the darkest time in our lives. So in any capacity that I can, I will be giving back.
That's amazing. And we're here to support you too. And I would love to, we can talk about this after too, but I would love to swing by Ace
Yeah,
Factories and come join a mom
you should.
workout.
Like if I miss a week, I dread going because I'll be there. But they're great. Tanner's great. The women are great. They're also like nobody knew each other before starting, and now they're all becoming friends. It's just a really great group. I love that group.
Like you said earlier, as moms, we need that. Like we need that outlet and we need that sense of community. And I try to go to like Orange Theory classes sometimes, but it's in Brighton. And so like it's just a chunk of my time that I don't
Yeah. Well, the other
always
hard thing is
have.
you know, a lot, like I have kids in school, but I also, so a week after, no, oh, 2 weeks after moving back into our house, so we spent a year. We actually were able to like kind of reconfigure things in our house so I could give each kid their own room for the first time in their lives. So that was really exciting. And then 2 weeks later, we found out I was pregnant again. So we ended up having baby number 7. The first year we moved back in, and but so while my bigger kids are at school, I can't go to the gym because I still have a baby, So while we don't have like official childcare at the gym, moms are welcome to bring their kids and they just run around the turf and play. And we're just, again, it's the community thing. Like moms need that hour. Moms need to take
Mhm.
time for themselves. And if they can't because they don't have a babysitter, well, bring them. We're just here
Yeah.
to help.
That's amazing. I love that. And that's helpful. We all have different situations and different things. I was wondering, what would you tell a young athlete that maybe had a devastating setback, whether it's, an injury in their sport, something happening to them outside of the gym?
You know, I just think there's a million like cliche things, right? But like hard work does outweigh talent any single time. We have athletes that not everybody's born with just that natural ability, but I see girls and boys coming in every single day, getting reps, working, getting stronger, working out. And I think that again, think that there is enough sunshine for everyone. A lot of kids, their dream is to play in college. There's a spot for them. There's a spot for them somewhere if they put in the work. And so my if after a setback, and we've had plenty of set, I think that turn that into the greatest comeback.
Yeah, it's so true. What about for any women who are looking to be entrepreneurs
Mm.
themselves? What's your advice?
Just do it, like, have
Yeah.
ideas and they're kinda wait for the right time or to be ready. I have never been ready to do anything I've ever done, and most of my ideas sound pretty crazy. I remember when we started Rustic Marine and AJ quit his job, my mom thought we were nuts, and then when I told, AJ, like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna open, like, a indoor facility," and luckily, he knows me well enough that he knows if I have a crazy idea, I'm gonna do it. So he just says, "Hey babe, good luck." And so my advice is don't wait for the perfect time. Life is short. And if you have a dream, do it. Do it. When we started Rustic Marine, we were not woodworkers. We were looking up how to make things on YouTube. And we figured it out, you will figure it out and go for it. The only thing that you will regret is not trying.
I think people don't start something because they're worried about the word failure, but it's like everybody has their own definition of that. And I don't think just because something doesn't work out or you have to pivot your path forward, it doesn't mean that you're failing at anything. And if that's the scariest thing associated with it, I fully, fully agree with you. Like, just do it because there's nobody that's looking at the little things you're doing wrong or incorrect or in the background. There's nobody that really cares about our failures. I think we're like the hardest on
Well,
ourselves. And that's what stops a lot of people from starting
I
their own
will
things.
say the way I look at it is I have never once failed in my life. I have done things unsuccessfully, but I've learned and then pivoted or, as long as you learn from a mistake, it's not a failure. You have to fail. I mean, look at every great athlete out there, Michael Jordan, right? Everybody knows his story. You can look at it as a failure or you can look at it as a learning opportunity and become better. And so I have done plenty of things unsuccessfully, but I've learned from all of them. So none of it is a failure. And half of the time, the world never knows when I've failed, right? It's only me. And so who cares? Learn from it and move on.
I think every person listening probably needs to hear that too, whether it's about a business they want to start or just in their day-to-day lives with their jobs. And I think it's really important to know that we're all human and we're all going through this life while learning through things, not failing through
Right.
things.
I do get messages constantly like, I want to do this. And, there's nothing like this in our community. And it's like, do it, just do it. I had no experience owning a gym, but I knew as a parent and as a former athlete and as a parent of athletes of all ages, I knew what my kids needed. And so just wanted to give all kids what my kids needed. And so if there is a will, there's a way and you just gotta start.
Agree. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. We are doing some really special things at Ace Factory, and it is just the beginning. Like I said, we've been open just 5 months, and already the stories that are coming out of that building are incredible. I can't wait to be able to update you in a year and in 2 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to be growing quickly, and again, I have not gotten this is phase 2 will be the biggest project I've ever taken on, and I've never taken on investors or multi-million dollar projects, but I'm going to, just gonna
Yep.
go for it and
Yep.
see how much we can affect this community and give our local athletes and just kids something they deserve right here in their own backyard.
Yep. And you already have been, and you're gonna continue to, and it's gonna be amazing, and I'm so looking forward to seeing all of it. And where can people find Ace Factory?
You can still find us on Facebook and Instagram. I've just been giving a bit more of my attention to Ace Factor lately.
Yeah.
Although my trainers are doing so amazing that I'm kind of passing the torch off a little bit, and we'll probably get back to Rustic Marine. But you can find Rustic Marine on Facebook or Instagram. You can find Ace Factory on Facebook and Instagram as well. And our website is ace.com. And we're located right now in the former Tanger outlets, now Kensington Valley outlets in Howell.
Lindsay Rowe, thank you so much for coming on She Aced That this week, not just for sharing your story, but for showing us what it actually looks like to rebuild and to continue to keep showing up. This conversation is going to help so many people, and I can't thank you enough for your time today. And thank you, everybody, for joining She Aced That this week, and we'll see you next Wednesday.